Hello everyone, and welcome to the fictional vortex. So we are back with an interesting movie on what if Naruto had unique bloodline of ninja clan. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. Prologue. Time unlocked. Naruto hung in the chains that were heavy, forged from the fires of creation, and drained away any chakra should he try in jutsu. Everyone in the tomb knew that any kekkei genkei that was used, either willing or otherwise, was not effected. The men in the shadows enjoyed throwing senbon at the jinchuriki hanging in the center of the chamber. The chains were not all that bound him, but the seal on the floor, the seal on the ceiling, and the seal array around the room were at work too. At this time, all that Naruto had going for him was the fact that he could heal the damage being done to him. He finally got into the mindscape, so he could at least talk to someone who would not just snicker and throw another senbon. It turned out that his captors were waiting until the full moon eclipse that would take place right overhead. So, they had a few minutes, if not hours, to wait. After hours of talking, the great beast bound into his gut, talking about friends both lost and alive, of love interests and more, Naruto looked at the fox in its glided cage. "I never thought to get to know you. It is one of my greater regrets. I would release you now, if it made any difference, but they would catch you and do worse than just bring the end to this world. It might save a few people, it would make them wait another, 15 years, before they try this again. That is of course if you escape the seal arrays." The great Kyuubi looked at the man in front of its cage. "There is an option, but it is a long shot. If this works, you can fight the fate of the world. We lose, we die. The only reason I suggest this at all, it will cause my dissolution. I will cease to be here. You will die, and their work will be incomplete for another 15 years, giving the people of this world a chance, a very small chance, but a chance. And if it works?" Hope flared in the blonde's eyes. "You were never here in the first place. We can try again. Let's do this, any chance better than none. Death. Just to delay their plans a few years is price I am willing to pay. Dat bao." The great fox glared at the blonde, "Okay, drawing the word out. First remove the seal, but do not call on your chakra coils for any reason." When the seal was removed, the cage faded and crumbled to ash about the feet of the fox. As the cage fell, the fox grew, in size, and in solidity. Now close your eyes, and think back. Find a day that was iconic. A day that was better than the rest, but before things went to crap. The blonde did as he was told. When he found it, he nodded. "Now hold on to that memory, focus hard, whatever happens, keep that day in your head." Outside the mindscape, one of the shadows grinned as he drew back his hand and threw the senbon. It hit, but this time the body did not twitch. Slowly the senbon was pushed from the flesh, like the other times, and the wound healed, but to response from the person. Just then there was a flare of the Biju's chakra, all of it, mixed with the boy's own small candle wick in the roaring inferno of the greatest of the 9 Biju. Then the body hung limply in its chains. The next thrown senbon was not ejected, nor was the next or the next. He turned to the Eternal One. "Master," the name honeyed and hollow on his tongue, "I think something is off with the demon spawn." The master watched the seals about them lose their glow, and rescinded back into the darkness that spawned them. "I think you are correct. For now, the boy has done the impossible. He died before the appointed time. The Biju is gone." The master paused. "With his death, I have no need of a medic." A swipe of his hand, and the head of the traitorous medical ninja rolled alone into the pool of light from the sun hole in the center of the chamber ceiling, just as the eclipse began. When Naruto awoke, the first thing he felt was pain, then he remembered. He bolted to his feet, and crashed to the floor. Then he remembered the Kyuubi. Pulling himself into a sitting position, he settled his mind and dropped into his mindscape. The small blonde human stood before the massive gilded cage, an empty cage. He felt crushed. His greatest ally and deadliest foe was gone. Just as he was about to leave, something caught his eye. The seal on the cage, just out of his reach as he stood now, but within reach if he grew. Grow? Just how old am I? He shook his head and looked around. Cage and seal are in place. That means whatever you did worked, because I destroyed the seal and the cage fell into ash. And just why would you destroy the seal that binds me here? So that the mighty Kyuubi-sama could pull of one last death-defining jutsu. Then the boy frowned, though you never told me what the jutsu was. Whatever it was, it must have failed. I am still here. Where I have been for the last 12 long, debasing years. Two large red glowing eyes opened in the darkness of the cage. 12 years? I had just had my 18th birthday. The boy trailed off, squinting up at the eyes above him. You told me to hold in mind a day that was iconic. A day that was better than those around it, but before things went to shit. I picked the day I painted the Hokages. I do remember you giggling this past week as you were planning something big. The eyes glared at the boy. What was planned? Minor defacement of the four faces of the Hokages overlooking the village. Okay, get to it. Not this time. And before you ask why, I have something bigger, something nastier in mind. The boy's vulpine features took on a sinister edge. This time teeth appeared as the Kyuubi grinned. First I need to come to an understanding with my Biju. The seal is flawed. Even with Shinigami's help, my father, Namikaze Minato, did not have time to fully calculate every factor. He came close, but it missed perfection. And you are telling me this, because you are my greatest ally. Without you, I am just a knucklehead ninja. And a soon-to-be-dead knucklehead ninja. You are also my deadliest foe, as you both poison and burn me every time I embrace your power. He waved his hand and a block of stone rose from the floor. Naruto hopped on it and sat, not 3 feet from the cage. Using your chakra as we are now, shaves time of my life. The more of your power I embrace, the sooner I die. Then, by all means use my power. The boy snorted, even if I walked around 24/7 in you cloak. We still would be grabbed by that Uchiha Teme. And your cute fluffy tails would be ripped from my guts like they were from my mother's. The beast stopped moving. You know about the Uchiha? The Eternal? Naruto snorted. I have some knowledge. He frowned as he cast his mind back. I do believe that he just helped wipe out his entire clan save for 2. One who helped wipe out the clan, and his brother. He snorted again. With 3 of the clan alive. Only 2 others have eyes outside the clan. One was given the eye by a dying teammate, and the other who stole 11 eyes and with the help of a nuke nin of our village, implanted them in his arm and head. This one who stole the eyes, is he loyal to the village? Not really, more like he is loyal to power, and the village is the best way for him get there. Then he dies. We agree. The 2 turned to see a trio standing behind Naruto. The Kyuubi growled, Shinigami, you dare show yourself here? Only to see what happened. There was a major time shift. Over 6 years were rolled back. The ghost-masked figure spoke. The woman in white beside him stepped forward. Her voice removed all negative emotion from the room. We see that the boy's Kekkei Genkei was engaged and was infused with your full 9 tails of chakra. Now that we know what did it, we cannot let it happen again. By the Shive man in samurai armor thundered, by infusing your chakra, you burned open the Kekkei Genkei. His father was a master of time, space jutsu. You just opened the gates a couple of generations early. We cannot close the gates of time, but we can prevent you, Kyuubi-chan, from ever touching them, yourself. I have no idea what you are talking about, snarled the great fox, as she fully solidified in her cage. The woman stepped up to the cage, and placed her hand on the seal. A quick turn of her head and she stared at the boy. What did you do? I ripped the seal off, and as the cage fell into ash, I did as I was told and pictured in my mind this day. Fluffy-sama said it might kill us, but it would It fully consumed her. The Kyuubi from that time did this. The woman turned to look at the 2 men behind her. The boy's mind and soul were all that was sent back. Because of his links to each of us, we were drawn, in part, back as well. That means, the samurai released his sword, we are of this time, but with glimpses of a future. When we are finished here, the boy can take steps to correct the mistakes of his future, the one he left behind. We leave him, his mind. The ghost-faced ninja spoke. He will have to work on regaining the mastery of his jutsu, but we can impose on him a task. 1 task each. The 3 gods looked at one another. Leaning on the cage, Naruto asked the fox within, who are these beings? The lady in white is Inari, the samurai is Susanoo, and the ninja is Shinigami-sama. The bastard that did an incomplete job on my seal. Naruto spoke with a soft reverence. What do you mean incomplete? The ninja was suddenly towering over the boy. Naruto snorted and stripped to the waist. There blazing around his navel was the 8 trigram seal. As you can see, there are a few flaws here and there. Now I understand you were in a rush, but seal not finished. The ninja looked closely. Okay, I see it. The seal was designed to seal the whole of the biju, but we sealed it a half at a time. The ninja god poked the seal, causing the lines to rotate, the biju to squeal, and Naruto to shudder. That should do it. As the ninja returned to the other two, they took a triad stance with Inari at the front. As one, they drew themselves up. Here is mortal and biju. We three stand as fates. We do here charge you with the following. As they spoke, these words were seared into the sewer walls with the silver flames. Should you find the means, save the demons of the mist and mirror. The snake must rise from the sound. But from an untimely death, save the monkey, protect the beast of sand, and defend the other 7, at all costs, they must not be caught by the dawn. Break the one of the 6, show him the light, burn the one eternal, show him the night. Your Vixenheim, hidden in her burrow, holds a strength that shall set you free. The toad and slug, bound by vice. Offer guidance, but at great price the eye of the hawk, burning bright. Needs must die, if ever turned from light. As the words finished, the flames flared, and when Naruto could see again, he was alone with the Kyuubi. Okay, that was new. The Kyuubi shook her body and tail, chasing the chill from her bones. And now we have a mission statement. The boy was enthused. You understand it? The great beast peered down at the boy. Some of it. The demons of mist and mirror, 2 missing ninja eye. Encounter in the land of the waves. They die. The snake from the sound is Orochimaru, so the monkey should be the Hokage Jiji. The one of 6 is reference to pain, a sage of the 6 paths. The one eternal is most likely Uchiha Madara. The toad and slug is pervy sage and Hokage Ba. Beast of sand and the other 7? The dawn? Shukaku. The one tail. The 9 biju are hunted. A group of S to SS nuke ninja, called the Akatsuki, seek to capture and extract all 9 of you. Killing the 9 of us in the process. Pain and Uchiha Madara control the group, but when they are encountered in the field, they usually travel in pairs, and are skilled to match nearly any group that stands up to them. And the Vixenheim? The Eye of the Hawk? Could mean Hyuga Hinata-chan and Uchiha Teme. When we finish here, we will go look them up. We have unfinished business? Yes. With the understanding that while you are bound in my guts, you cannot be used by those who would use you as a weapon, without your consent. Our bond, through the seal, is a defense against genjutsu. They cannot hold you, when I hold you, and you shield me when they catch me. I am your warden, not your jailer. With the exception of releasing you, what do you want to do? Anything? Anything not having to do with the seal? Even squirming with a male pinning you to the ground, mounting you? Good, the only reason the female is to be under the male is for mating. The female is the stronger. Not going there. Naruto stood, as his clothes blurred and he was fully dressed again. Can we do something with the orange jumpsuits? Maybe lose the jumpsuit, but keeping the orange until Chunin. It works to counter my stealth skills. If I can sneak about in orange. You can sneak about in anything. Good day, Kyuubi-chan. Think on your desire. And Naruto faded from view. Waking up, he noticed he had 20 minutes to get to class. Out the window he went. His reflexes were off, and so was his control, but not enough to affect anything in a run across town. As he ran along back fences and flipped over cats napping on the rails, he thought about his day. He knew that the Anbu were watching his paint supplies. He knew that they knew he was planning something big. But rather than follow through with the Hokage plan, he would wait. He would be a good boy, no napping in class, no goofing off, no jokes or pranks. First it would annoy his overseers, then it would make them paranoid. Arriving, and only slightly panting from his run, he scanned the class. You there, Fluffy-chan? Why are you calling me that? So if any of the Yamanaka clan are scanning me, they won't hear something that might lead to us being sealed in a 8x8 cell and fed rice mash that only changes flavors pending on which guard pissed in it. Good call. Fluffy-chan will be acceptable. What do you want? Can you see? You are welcome to use my eyes as needed. The room was awash in a red haze. There, I see, a classroom? Back row, center section. Middle seat. Yummy little thing. I could just eat her up. A line from Ero Sandin's book trailed through his mind. Yeah, that was what I was thinking too. Who is she? Hyuga Hinata-chan. Clan heir. Meek, shy and gentle. Prone to stuttering and fainting when in my presences. Physical stats. As a ninja or as for breeding? You are a 12-year-old kid, my mind is that of an 18-year-old, that spent a good 4 years around the greatest super pervert of them all. Now I can give you a breakdown on her skills as a ninja or as a breeder. 2 separate data files. Ninja first. The beast side. Pros. Top of the class in taijutsu. Superb flexibility, almost perfect chakra control. Good with mental aspect of the ninja life, and as a master politician. Cons. Due to family tradition, limited taijutsu. Ninjutsu, and almost no genjutsu, due to her caring nature, is rarely violent, to the point of everyone thinking she is weak. Her family keeps her on a controlled diet so her reserves are limited. After a few seconds of quiet, and as a breeder, flexible enough to bend in half, gentle as a morning breeze, no history of disease, and did I mention her rack? That is it, for a ninja and breeder, yeah. During this time, Naruto had climbed to the top of the risers. He now stood not 5 feet from the poor hyperventilating girl. He calmly sat next to her. She was whispering to herself, don't faint, don't faint. Naruto knew that he was not going to tease or joke today, but he could not help it. Leaning over the panicking girl, if you faint, Naruto-kun cannot take you for cinnamon buns after class. The poor girl WSHE did not even notice that she had changed her mantra to, don't faint, if you faint. Naruto-kun cannot take you for cinnamon buns after class, don't faint. After about a minute of this Naruto lean over again. No cinnamon buns means no kiss. The girl locked up. A spark in her eyes glowed. Naruto almost missed it, due to the red haze in his eyes. Are you teasing me? Are you making fun of me? She hissed. Placing his hand on her wrist. Teasing you, yes. Making fun, no, he whispered. I would kiss you here, but then I would be missing the taste on cinnamon on your lips, the sticky, gooey icing on your tongue. He let his voice trail off, reaching up to raise her chin so he could look her in the eyes. But let's save that for later. Okay class, focus people. Iruka-sensei called out. We have a quick refresher on what you need to know, then lunch, then graduation tests, now roll call. Just before lunch, the class was running the obstacle course. Naruto jumped into a forward flip with a twist to land on a rail, just as Sasuke was throwing a kunai at a moving target. Now, how their 2 courses conflicted, only the gods know. Of course the fact Sasuke was aiming to clip Naruto with his throw, he was fully prepared to deny, but hey, it was just the dead last. As the knife slammed into the blonde's thigh, a burning spark flared behind his eyes. Just before lunch, the class was running the obstacle course. Naruto jumped into a forward flip with a twist to land on a rail, just as Sasuke was throwing a kunai at a moving target. Now, how their 2 courses conflicted, only the gods know. Of course the fact Sasuke was aiming to clip Naruto with his throw, he was fully prepared to deny, but hey, it was just the dead last. As the blonde cleared the rail, he caught the knife, his finger curling into the hole on the bed of the knife. As he took a step back, flipped and hit the target dead center. Those watching clapped thinking it was an assisted action. Only 3 others and the blonde knew it was not. 4 if you counted the Biju hissing and growling in his guts. What was that? Naruto looked about the field in a sense of wonder. I think that was your Kekkei Genkei that the Kami-sama were talking about this morning. Something about Jiken Ghetto. My gates of time. Something about my father being a master of the space-time jutsu. Careful Kit. There was a minor chakra drain just as it flared. I see you have already started drawing on your Jiken Ghetto. A different thought voice entered his thoughts. I have come to talk about the rules of your gift. Naruto moved over to the benches and sat drawing a deep breath. His nose catches the scent of lilacs. Grinning he dives into his mindscape. Phasing into the reality of his mindscape, Naruto sees the samurai from earlier. Good. I need to make this quick. 1. Backstepping is memories only. If you were to sneak into an enemy hideout and grab something, if you backstepped out, you would leave the thing behind. 2. Looking forward is possible, but every time you look, it changes. 3. Stepping forward is impossible. Do not even try. 4. The amount of chakra you use is equal to how far you backstep. You, with your reserves right now, can do about an hour. Now, you're looking at 6 hours with Sage mode. That is as you are now. We have tuned your gates so that the Kyuubi chakra will not touch them, not even to save your life. You can use all your chakra to power the gates, and then rely on the Kyuubi to keep you alive, but that is not advised. So, if I wanted to, say, enjoy the affections of a willing female, I could do things that no gentleman would speak of. Then, backstep, and keep the memory to myself. Who says the female has to be willing? The Kyuubi grinned from its cage. I do. Naruto glared at the beast. Now as long as she is willing, we can be as nasty as we want, but we need her permission first. I do not need to know this. The god spoke, but be warned. Those who deal in space-time jutsu will notice something is off when you use the gates. Using the gates in conjunction with your father's jutsu is possible. You have been warned, and he was gone. So, when are we dinning on the Hyuga heiress? Naruto just grinned as he phased out. He awoke just as the class was being called in. Following along, he listened with half an ear. When Iruka-sensei dismissed the class for lunch, the blonde beast was out and running for the Hokage Jiji's office. As he pounded the street, his eyes locked onto the window, and he jumped, using the walls about him and the tree-climbing trick. Naruto landed on the roof next to the window of his target. See the Hokage reading a small orange book, as he sipped his tea, made Naruto grin. Stepping into the room, "Hey Jiji, so what is Ero-sanin talking about today?" The Hokage did a spit take followed by a coughing fit. When he got his breath back, he glared at the boy. "How did you get in here?" "Same way Purvey Sage does, through the window." The real trick was running up the walls, but the tree climbing helps. Naruto poked through a few of the books and scrolls on the shelf. "Purvey Sage?" the old man asked. "Ero-sanin?" The old man eased a kunai into his hand. "Yeah," Naruto turned and Goofy grinned at the old man. "The toad sage who writes those books you and Inu are always reading. I mean, I know he uses the books to send coded messages. But the amount of research he does is not in proportion to the writing he does. Naruto, you are not making sense." The old man leaned back, cleaning his nails with the knife he had in his hand. "If you were an enemy agent, you would have tried to be like the Gaki we all know and love, or would be very polite. But you are saying things most would think are crazy, if not impossible. Clear and seal the room, old man, and I will answer any question you put to me." The Hokage did just that. As the boy made himself comfortable on the seat before the desk, the old man reloaded his pipe, but did not light it as he thought over his questions. "Okay, what is the jutsu that I weakest against?" "The sexy jutsu. And those derived from it. Your grandson really gets that one going. I need to be back in class when lunch is over. I really want to pass on the first attempt this year. The makeup test sucks." "There is no makeup test." The Hokage squinted at the boy. "Yeah, I know. Mizuki-sensei sends me on an infiltration mission to seal the forbidden scroll, then tries to kill me, and Iruka-sensei when he catches me first." Naruto grumbles to himself. "How does he always know how to find me, anyway? Even when the Anbu have missed me, twice. Chakra sensor like none in the history of our village." The Hokage put away his kunai. Made a great tracker hunter nin when he was in Anbu. But could not take the bloodshed that his teammates often had to release. Makes a better truant officer and teacher anyhow. Good to know. The boy pulled a pocket watch from his inner jacket pocket, peeked at the time, 10 minutes. "My first team, the one most still talk about, you mean the 3 Sannin." Naruto raised an eyebrow. "Toad Sage, Jiraiya, aka Ero-sanin, Pervy Sage, and Super Pervert." He grinned, his true grin, the one who often punts him across the village. "Hokage Ba-san, Senju Tsunade, the Slug Princess." Then his face turns ugly as he snarled. "And the last is the perverted pedophile, who after losing the post of Hokage to my father, was found to have been experimenting on the orphans of the villages, and vanished just before the Anbu could catch him for crimes for against the village and humanity. At the Hokage's nod. That would be Orochimaru, the Hubby Sannin. Okay Gaki, you got me. Who are you, what are you, and how do you know all this? Big question, but I will give you the basics. I Uzumaki Naruto. My father was the 4th Hokage, Namikaze Minato. My mother was Uzumaki Kushina. I am the Jinchuriki of the Biju, Kyuubi no Yoko. Sealed into my guts on the day of my birth. I inherited her from mother as well as the bloodlines of Uzushiogakure. From my father I space control. My father mastered space jutsus, and was bordering on time. He had the flash step down, 200 dead in 5 seconds. Okay. Identify confirmed. Now to the how. My father's fault. He crafted the beginnings of a Kekkei Genkei, but it was not designed to open for a generation or 3 down the line. But an old enemy of the village returned from beyond the grave, if he even truly died in the first place. He captured me and Kyuubi-chan, and the others too, in an attempt to bring ultimate ruination onto our world. As a last-minute, death-defying attempt at escape, I released the Biju and she thrust all 9 of her tails into the gates of time, and burned the gates open. So you know what is happening? The Hokage lit his pipe? I know what might happen. I stepped back over 6 years. I failed the first test, but was offered a makeup test. Stole the Forbidden Scroll, learned the Kage Bushin, and beat Mizuki-sensei into a mini-kama. I go on to learn my father's Rasengan from his master, Arrow Sennin. Bring home Tsunade Ba-chan, and lose the last Uchiha to the pedophile Orochi Sennin. I defend the village from an attack by the Tsunade Jinchuriki, and bring him into the light. I turn the land of snow into the land of spring. I do all this, and never advance beyond the rank of genin. Naruto looked at his pocket watch. 5 minutes. I will need more details. When I return after school, have Yamanaka Inoichi here. The 3 of us will go see something that will scare you. He put the watch away, and powered through the wards, as he jumped out the window. His course took over the rooftops and he slid in through an open window just as the bell rang. He looked his test over, it was an Anbu-ranked test. Naruto grinned. He knew enough of the answers that he was positive that he scraped by with a passing grade. When he was done, he took the test to Iruka-sensei. Mizuki-sensei frowned, but allowed it to pass. Iruka-sensei frowned. This was not the test that was to be given to the class. He then noticed that many of the answers were correct. He put a notice that he needed to talk to Naruto after class. Next up was taijutsu. As the class wandered out to the testing ground, Naruto stayed close to Hinata-chan. He kept the girl focused. When she was called forward, he whispered, "Best score." Means that Hinata-chan gets to abuse Uzumaki-san, any way she wants. Mizuki-sensei needed 15 minutes to recover from the whirlwind assault that the weak and shy princess pounded into him. He was heard to mutter, "Gentle fist, my bruised ass." Iruka-sensei tested all the rest but Naruto. Mizuki-sensei tried to beat the boy, but Naruto Dobi would move just the half-inch to force the Teme-sensei to miss. Mizuki-sensei, I think Hinata-chan really messed you up. There is no way that I, still an academy cadet, should be doing this good against you. Iruka-sensei marked that he needed Naruto to see him after class, again. The use of kunai and shuriken testing, there was little Mizuki-sensei could do, so he let the blonde pass it as he could. Then came the ninjutsu testing. As the bulk of the class sat about, gossiping or whatever as Iruka-sensei and Mizuki-sensei call them in one at a time, Naruto squatted, facing the corner. As he flipped through the hand signs, he focused on what he wanted to do. When his name was called, the garbage can he was squatting over was full. Mizuki-sensei grinned. Henge. Naruto frowned, before taking on the form of Anko. Did you take my dango? The wild Jonin glared at the 2 men in the room. She was walking a dango spike across her knuckles. Both men cowered before Iruka-sensei called out, "P-pass? Sweet." The blonde smiled as the henge faded away. Mizuki-sensei pulled a kunai and snapped it at the boy. Before Iruka-sensei could say anything, Naruto took the knife in the face, only to poof, and it showed Mizuki-sensei with the kunai sticking out of his chest. Kawarimi. Iruka-sensei deadpanned. Check, clone? A simple rat sign and 4 clones joined Naruto surrounding Mizuki-sensei. Iruka-sensei peered at Naruto. Anything for extra credit? As the 5 Narutos turned to look at Mizuki-sensei. Ram Snake Tiger. Sweden. Shirapu no Kiepachabareto, water release. Syrup capturing bullet. 5 bullets of syrup hit the Chunin. There. That should prevent him from bleeding out. And pass. Well done. Here is your headband. Thank you. Now that I am official, I need to see the Hokage clan business. Naruto tied the headband on, and re-entered the classroom. He walked right up to Hinata-chan, smiled at her. Hello. Princess. She fainted. He caught her, bowed to the class and shunshined away. Shikamaru sat up, looked about, grunted, well that was new. Naruto Dobi stood, panting 2 blocks from the academy. The Hyuga princess was draped over his shoulder, and the villagers were looking at him strange. There were a few hate-filled glares, but here was the orange eyesore carrying the heiress of the strongest clan in the village over his shoulder. Now if there was any real threat, the Anbu on the rooftops would have stopped him. Gathering himself, Naruto took off at a run, up the wall and into the Hokage's office. This time the Hokage knew he was coming, and had Inoichi waiting. They were watching the boy in glass sphere. They had caught from the beginning of the jutsu test. Ah, Naruto-kun. Why did you bring her? Sarutobi turned from the sphere. Because, when I needed help, she stepped forward, and confessed her feelings. The blonde set the girl on the couch. I was pinned to the ground, as the sage of the 6 paths stood over me, gloating. The village was thrashed. The Hokage, Ba-chan, was drained. If not at death's door, everyone of Chunin and above was either out of the village or down. The genin were on civilian duty. When does this happen? The Hokage set his pipe aside. Ba-chan. You mentioned her before. You called her Senju Tsunade. The Slug Senin, aka the Slug Princess, aka the legendary sucker. Naruto ate with the girl's head in his lap, stroking her hair. Your student, granddaughter of the first Hokage and his wife Mito Uzumaki. He looked up at the old man. Need I go on? He is telling you the truth. The blond man stepped forward. I detect no falsehood from him, and no taint from. If you are talking about Fluffy-chan, I know all about her. Naruto rubbed his stomach. I will admit that I do talk with her. It started this morning. The reason I asked you two here, and kidnapped the heiress, is that I want you 3 to meet her. He stroked the girl's hair. In the past 18 years, as I see time, she is the only one that has been there for me, no matter what. Yamanaka has it and his clan to worry about. You're dead in a year, 2 at the most. Jiji-sama. Hinata-chan is my shadow, when she can get away. Kakashi-sensei is too caught up in his past mistakes to notice that Uchiha Teme is breaking mentally, the pink poser is useless outside these walls, and that I am barely keeping my head above the waves. Pervy Sage is too busy with his research if not tracking rumors. Through his spine network of brothels and bathhouses, Ba-san did not know about me until I was sent with Pervy Sage to get her. Then she was too busy fighting the paperwork and trying to steal booze to help me. Looking the old man in the eye. Yes, she is the big bad fox, who if she get free, is going to burn the village, bury in it under the mountain, and burn it again. But she has been there every time I was poisoned, beaten unto death, stabbed, and all that. Granted, it was because that she was dead. If I died, she would return in about 9 years to reclaim her vengeance, first on the village, then on the eternal Uchiha. With my help, her vengeance on the Uchiha is easier, but at a cost. She will need to remain in the seal. It not only keeps her caged, a prisoner, it also keeps her safe. Uchiha Madara cannot use her as she is. And you want us to meet her? Sarutobi packed his pipe. Why? She is my greatest ally and deadliest foe. Hokage Jiji, because we are under his commands, he will need to walk me introduce Hokage Ba and Hinata-chan, because they are the 2 females that my life requires me to keep close to my heart. One to keep me alive, the other to keep me loyal to the village. The blonde Jonin sat across from the boy. Care to explain that? I will. I need for her father to be here, and the room sealed. Naruto sniffed the air. Also, need the Anbu and Ne removed. If you feel the need for protection, call Anko. Big orders from a green genin. The Hokage used a flame jutsu to light his pipe. Call Anko. If there are Nei in the room, she would enjoy the questioning of them. Just then Hyuga Hiyashi barged into the room with an Anbu in a hubby mask right on his heels. Sarutobi. I want that, Akuma no Gaki, demon brat, beaten and beheaded for kidnapping my daughter. He grabbed her right out of class. He was seen running through town with her over his shoulder. He is most likely outside the walls running for Kumo. I demand that you send your Anbu and rescue my baby girl, and bring his head back so I can mount it on a pike over my gates. So, Naruto spoke in a calm and measured tone. The marriage contract with the heir of the lost village and the inheritance from the Namikaze estate holds no interest for you. The look of surprise and confusion on the clan head and father's face was priceless. That means the position of first wife goes to the Inuzuka clan. Then the boy's grin turned evil. Considering that the Uzumaki clan seat on the council will need to be filled by proxy, as the head of the clan will be too busy tempting a female that has no interest in. Hiyashi slowly turned to look at the boy, touching his eldest. What are you saying? I am saying, Naruto stood, and bowed his head to the pale-eyed man. My mother was heir of the lost village Uzushiogakure. My father was the fourth Hokage. There's several things in play, including my Kekkei Genkei. Ah, Hokage, I retract my last demand. It seems that a courting ritual was combined with a prank. As no harm has come of this issue, and your Anbu most likely just watched. You are invited, my lord, to join us. Naruto sat and returned to stroking Hinata-chan's hair. Or would you prefer to watch over the five of us, as we look into a matter of village importance? Ah, Hokage, I retract my last demand. It seems that a courting ritual was combined with a prank. As no harm has come of this issue, and your Anbu most likely just watched, Hiyashi swallowed his pride. You are invited, my lord, to join us. Naruto sat and returned to stroking Hinata-chan's hair. Or would you prefer to watch over the five of us, as we look into a matter of village importance? I think I will join you. The even tones of the head of the Hyuga clan belied the excitement that was rushing through his mind. Naruto nodded. Anko-san, he bowed to the Anbu. I will then need you to watch over us while I take everyone else into my seal. I will make arrangements for you to join me within at a later time. Turning his attention to the girl at his side, Haim-chan. I need you to wake up. Let me. Hiyashi cleared his throat. Hinata. The girl snapped upright. A look of fear flashed over her face, as Naruto's protective instincts flared. Hiyashi missed it, as he did not have his eyes active, nor did Hinata, as he was behind her. But the other two males and the female Anbu who had yet to remove her faceplate, caught it. The boy was very protective of the girl. With everyone distracted, Inoichi flashed through a complex set of hand signs and from his core a wave chakra washed over those in the room. As one, everyone but the snake-masked Anbu. Woman, like there was anyone who did not know wore the snake, fell into a sleep-like state. Naruto groaned as he sat up. Looking about, he notices that all that were in the office but Anko were strewn about the room. Moving to Hinata-chan's side, he shook her awake. As her eyes flickered open, he smiled down at her. Hey beautiful, welcome to my inner self. Hinata-chan flushed. Thank you for. Her manners were faster than her mind. What? She looked about. I have recently awoken a Kekkei Genkei. Naruto smiled his real smile. It has shown that for some time, you have been, he cocked his head, the common term is, stalking me. Looking into her eyes, I have been shown that you are one who will help in my quest to become Hokage. Her eyes rolled up, and back into her head. As she clasped, he caught her. Ah, Hinata-hime. You cannot faint here. He shifted her to a bride-style hold. We are in a mindscape, a zone within a seal over my navel. A secret that you may know nothing about. When the fourth fought and defeated the Kyuubi no Yoko, he did not kill her, as we are told in class. It is impossible to kill a Biju, as they are living chakra. Instead, he sealed the nine-tail into a child, born that day. As he was telling her this, he was carrying her along the sewer tunnel. As he spoke of the child born on that day, he turned into a massive chamber, holding a grand cage, light filtering in from above, a skylight that showed the ceiling of Hokage Gigi's office. It showed Anko sitting in the old man's chair. The old man was laid out next to the desk, on the floor. Hinata-hime, allow me to introduce Kyubi-chan, the Kitsune no Yoko. He sat the young heiress on her feet before the cage. Kyubi-chan. Hyuga Hinata-chan. The darkness pulled away to reveal a red-headed female, almost mistaken for a human. She was dressed in a pale blue kimono with white trim. A pair of sharply pointed, black-tipped ears poked from her hair. When she smiled at the two youths before her, a set of long canine teeth showed. As she settled into a kneeling position, her 9 tails fluttered and tucked themselves about her, the tips twitching in random patterns. Hyuga Hinata-chan. A pleasure to finally get to meet you. A dainty hand reached through the column-style bars of the cage. Only as Hinata-chan took the hand to shake did the menace those delicate hands could rend become noticeable. I just know we are going to be the best of friends. So, this is where you have gotten to. The children turned to see the 3 adults enter from the tunnel they had just left themselves. The Hokage is smiling at the boy, while Hyuga-sama is glaring at the boy, when he is not gazing adoringly at his girl. Yamanaka Inoichi is too busy examining the walls and architecture. Then his eyes caught sight of something. Ah, Hokage-sama. Something here you need to see. Kyubi-chan, I offer you a collar instead of the cage. You have free reign in this chamber, not as my prisoner but as my guardian. The collar I take, but I am your keeper of your flesh, my sister here is the keeper of your soul. The redhead grinned, flashing her fangs. Only if she takes to the role. Naruto held her hand. We offer it, but she must accept the collar of her free will. 2 sets of blues eyes turned to Hinata-chan. Do you freely take this burden? Kyubi-chan asked the girl. The 3 fathers turned to the kids. What is asked, is great, but what is offered? The shy girl asked hesitantly, poking her 4 fingers together, her head tilted to the side. Both vulpine grins widened. It was Kyubi-chan who answered, stepping through the bars of her cage as if through a waterfall. As she passed, a velvet choker, ice blue-white with a golden red thread twisted runic vines of the seal about her delicate throat. The poor boy will be bound to you, and you first, among our harem. She leans down to kiss the girl, her lips a bare inch away. A harem is a must. He must respawn his 2 clans, girl. Naruto paled. Hinata-chan flushed. The 3 adults cleared their throats. The kitsune turned to look at the men. The old man I remember, one is the girl's father, I sense pride and a happiness that you 2 are linked. But the blonde man is all over the place. As everyone turned to look at Yamanaka-san, they saw he was pointing at the words that were seared into the sewer walls with the silver flames. Should you find the means, save the demons of the mist and mirror, Tom the Sound. But from an untimely death, save the monkey, protect the beast of sand, and defend the other 7, at all costs, they must not be caught by the dawn. Break the one of the 6, show him the light, burn the one eternal, show him the night. Your Vixenheim, hidden in her burrow, holds a strength that shall set you free. The toad and slug, bound by vice, offer guidance, but at great price the eye of the hawk, burning bright. Needs must die, if ever turned from light, ah, yes. Naruto scratched the back of his head. There is that. Have you deciphered what that means? The Hokage asked, waving a hand at the burning wall. Some of it. Naruto slid his arm about Hinata. My vixen in her burrow, is Nina-chan here. We are dealing with her verse as we speak. The toad, slug, and snake are the Sannin. Toad will tell you about the dawn, and what is meant by the beast of sand and 7. He pulled the girl to him and sniffed her hair. Jiji-sama is the monkey. The one of the 6 is linked to the dawn, and the demons of the mist and mirror are linked to a mission you will send me and my team on in 3 to 6 months. There is more, but it will unravel in time. Kyubi-chan stepped around the group, rubbing against the males as she passed. The kid has brought you to me for a couple of reasons. You, old man, I needed to meet you, so that you know that we are loyal to you in village. I had to know who you were, mark you, sent you. She giggled. You, Blondie. You're needed to shepherd the next Hokage through these halls, should the old man retire, before Naruto wrests the position from him. Your daughter is to be walked through these halls when she earns her vest. I might even offer her another position, she giggled. Again. You, Hyuga-sama. You're here to know what is being offered to your daughter and clan." As she left the slightly stunned men, she returned to Naruto and Hinata. She draped herself over them. "Any questions?" She grinned, before suddenly baring her fangs and biting deep into Hinata's neck. Before anyone could do anything, a chakra surged through everyone out. Naruto spasmed upright, curling about Hinata-chan. "Damn you, fox. Relax, kid. Breath. We have a couple of minutes before the chakra infusion becomes an issue. Channel some chakra to your teeth." He did, feeling his canines lengthening. "Good. Now channel a ball of it on your tongue. Bite her where I did. Without releasing your bite, press your chakra into her neck. Good. Now release, and lick. Now I will explain. Biting her, and here, I gave her the mental taste of my chakra. Her mind would have tried to fight the demon chakra in her body, but not finding it, it would have torn her apart looking for it. Your biting her gave her a small bit of demon chakra that flows through your system, purified by the seal, plus the anti-demon chakra that is in your veins, due to your mother's bloodline. My bite allowed her take your bite, and incorporate it into her body, rather than just allowing it to form a seal that would be beyond painful. Even now, her chakra pathways are spreading our chakra about. Within a year, she will need to return the favor to complete the mate mark." A kunai tipped under his chin. "I have no idea what happened in there, but she is a favorite of my good friend. I would be amiss if anything were to happen to her," Habi hissed. Naruto grinned, and turning, spit a glob of syrup at the Enbu sub-commander. As the woman dodged, he spammed 5 chakra-heavy clones, and pinned her to the desk. "Sorry about this, Anko-chan. It is going to hurt. If you are anything like last time I tried this, you are really going to enjoy it, but this time, pace yourself when celebrating with Iruka-sensei. 3 days without fluids means a week in the hospital, plus all the PT just to walk again." Naruto Dobi started with a few hand signs, though he spent that whole month with a drooling grin on his face. He nodded, the clone holding her head, as when they flipped her face down, so he could reach the "Hickey, I was told that your seal is different from the others. Even when he died, yours remained. The others mostly faded away. But it was decided that if he was alive when this happened, he would be screaming and need to relearn to feed himself." Naruto's hand flared into a green flame. "Fuinjutsu. 510 Musabori Shiru. Sealed art release, 5-point devouring seal." Oto no Kuni Otogakure underground bunker. A pale man sat, enthroned, in a stone-carved chair. His plans were going so well. Today, his next host, if he was so to choose, would be taking the genin rank. Just a few more months and he could introduce himself to the poor boy. Suddenly he felt a great burning at the base of his brain. He spasmed, tried to scream, as he flailed about in his great chair, before collapsing into heap in his own waste. It would be days before anyone found him. Sarutobi watched, weak as a newborn, as Naruto first bit the girl on the couch, before assaulting the Enbu sub-commander. As she was flipped face down over the desk, her eyes locked with his. Naruto's hand flared into a green flame. "Fuinjutsu. 510 Musabori Shiru. Sealed art release, 5-point devouring seal." The poor girl screamed, her body spasmed before she collapsed. With the release of the jutsu, the clones popped. Naruto kissed her neck. "Sweet dreams, hubby Hemi." Before his eyes rolled up into his head, and he collapsed himself in a boneless heap. Naruto's hand flared into a green flame. "Fuinjutsu. 510 Musabori Shiru. Sealed art release, 5-point devouring seal." His clawed, burning hand bit into her neck. The poor woman screamed, her body spasmed before she collapsed. With the release of the jutsu, the clones popped. Naruto kissed her neck. "Sweet dreams, hubby Hemi." Before his eyes rolled up into his head, and he collapsed himself in a boneless heap. Kumo no Kuni. 3 days later, the 2-tailed Jinchuriki and the female team members of the 8-tailed Jinchuriki were relaxing in the hot waters of the volcanic heated mineral springs that were near their private training ground. It was a place for the 3 of them to go, practice, meditate, and escape the ranting or rapping of their male counterparts. During the week before their cycle purged itself, their emotional control was often tested. The only time Yugito truly kicked Killer Bee's ass was when he tried to rap at her while she was PM saying, A and the village council agreed that during that time, she and her fellow members were allowed, encouraged to find a place to blow off steam. As long as the three of them were together, they were safe. The council had forbidden all male contact of those grounds, for the male's safety. But that would not stop one white-haired Sannin from finding this magic place, once he had learned of it. So there we are, the three young females, wrapped in towels, lounging in the hot water. Yugito often sitting up to sniff the wind as it tickled her senses. Not 30 paces away, the Percy Sennin, shrouded in his strongest jutsu, sat taking notes. A rag stuffed into his mouth helped muffle his giggles. He knew if he was caught, he was in for a beating, and two of them used swords. A small monkey popped into his sight. At first he thought nothing of it, then he noticed the goggles the little guy was wearing. Goggles usually meant speed. He raised his eyebrow at the little guy, his pen never slowing. The cute and fuzzy monkey looked up at the human, grinned, and wrapping his tail about the Sannin's wrist, before it yelled out, "Nice view, Sage." When it jumped through a reverse summons, Jiraiya had no choice but to follow. Hokage Tower, Hokage Office, a puff of smoke, and the Gamma Sannin landed heavily on his rear end. Pulling the rag from his mouth, he glared at the monkey, wrapped around his wrist. That was low, furball. The monkey hopped from the downed Sannin to the desk where a banana was cut up for it. "Hey," the boss said quick, and paid well. "Like I care if your peeping was interrupted." The primate collected the banana and returned. "TD, who were you observing this time, Jiraiya?" the Hokage asked from his seat behind the desk. The two-tailed Jinchuriki, she and her team, were in a private hot spring. "I got a few good notes." He tossed his notebook onto the desk. "I might have gotten more, but your summons had to yell out that I was there. I needed you here as fast as possible. I have 3 seals that need you to inspect and pass judgment." 3 seals? Jiraiya frowned as he sorted through the seals of the village, his eyes bloomed wide. "Yes, Naruto needs his seal inspected, but the other 2 are Anko and Hyuga Hinata-chan." The old man reached for his pipe. The brat did something that triggered an event that caused his father's jutsu to activate. "Oh." Now the sage was interested. "He invited me and a few others to walk his mind. We met the Kyuubi, and found a foretelling. The Kyuubi then attacked Hinata-chan, and threw everyone out. Before we were able to stop him, Naruto assaulted both the girl and Anko. First placing a primitive seal on the Hyuga and damaging the seal on Anko. Where is Anko? That seal could be dangerous. I will show you." The Hokage lead the way to the hospital. Once in the room with all 3 persons whom he was to inspect, Jiraiya raised an eyebrow. "We tried to separate the Hyuga girl from the boy, but she grew agitated. As for why Anko and Naruto are together, most of the civilian caregivers have an aversion to them." Sarutobi spoke in a quiet voice, as he nodded to the Hyuga branch female watching over the girl. Jiraiya reached over and pulled aside the cloth covering the cursed seal of Orochimaru. Anko stirred, but that was all. The once purple-black seal was now turning cherry red where the chakra infusion from Naruto was eating it. The edges that were cooling were turning green, flowing his chakra over the seals, for there was the prime seal of his former teammate, and a new one. The new one was eating the tainted chakra from the young woman's flesh, while creating a chakra storage area, and allowing the other effects of the seal to remain. Jiraiya concluded that when the new seal was done, she would have all the power of her cursed seal, but on her terms. He whistled. "The Gaki did good. It is burning out, eating the taint from Tememaru, but is allowing her the full power of the seal. She will need to charge the seal on her own, but that would be the better outcome, anyways." He stepped over to the Hyuga girl. The servant woman pulled the girl's hair aside to show the Sannin the seal on her neck, 2 inches short of the hairline. This time seal was angry red, cooling into black. The seal was forming into a narrow dog-like print. "Not good," he whispered. Looking at the woman, "Is there talk of sealing her to the branch house?" The Hyuga woman paled, before nodding. "Warn them. Any attempt to seal her will result in bloodshed. It could mean the destruction of your whole clan." Jiraiya spoke quietly, almost with fear. "What is it?" Sarutobi demanded from the foot of the girl's bed. "A 3-way chakra mate mark." Jiraiya whispered. Infused in this bite are the chakra of the boy, the kyubi, and the girl. Looking into the pale pupil-less eyes of the woman across from him. And they are not fighting, but blending. This time next week, she will have many of his gifts at her command, but will be needing their chakra on a daily basis to use them. It is a form of claiming her as his. If she does not return the bite in a year, the mark on her will fade. Until that year is up, he is going to be very protective of her, and will be drawing heavily of the kyubi to keep her safe. So, the woman licked her lips, until she refuses him, and of her own free will, she is. By Kitsune law, his wife. Jiraiya answered. And just so you know, by Kitsune law, she is the superior. If she returns that bite, she becomes head of his clan. Jiraiya grinned as he moved over to the sleeping blonde. Lifting the boy's shirt, he poked the skin around the navel. He gathered chakra in his fingertips and poked the boy. As soon the chakra touched the skin, the seal flashed, and Jiraiya was thrown across the room. Damn you, pervy sage. Naruto did not even wake up. I tried to get a little shut-eye and you go poking at Fluffy-chan's seal. He scratched his seal before rolling onto his side and curling into a ball. As the sage pulled himself from the wall, what was that about? Await us outside, my dear. You do not want to hear this, as it threatens even my sanity. Sarutobi spoke to the branch woman, as the woman touched the door. It might help the poor girl return faster if her favorite food was brought in. I will be sending out for ramen and dango for the others. The door clicked shut, and the Hokage was sealing the room. And just when were you planning on sending out? A quiet voice hissed. The two older men turned to look at the snake mistress. Just as soon as we are finished with the seals. Sarutobi answered. Did you hear about your seal? Tell me, again. The young woman pulled herself upright, hold the sheet over her now naked chest. The boy applied a seal that is both destroying and improving your curse seal. Jiraiya spoke as he squatted to look at Naruto's navel, without touching the boy. From what I have found out about your love bite, it draws in your sweet clean chakra, multiplies it by a set. Yet unknown factor, allowing you to wield the new tainted chakra as if it was your own. There is a second level, that forces the body to undergo a preset of conditions and manifest a combat form on par with the Jinchuriki manifesting their Biju's true form. Now the Gaki's seal is removing the tainted chakra, and creating a chakra well, to hold your own chakra, increasing your reserve by a factor of up to 20. The new seal will give you control of your combat form, but it will only use your own chakra, not that of your sensei. So, you will be free of the bastard who poisoned you. The Hokage smiled at her, but free to use the gift your beloved sensei gave you. That is not all. A small fox with 3 tails hopped upon the bed and curled into the woman's lap. The kid has issues. It grinned at the guys. When the fancy writing was burned into the wall, a chink was burned into the seal. I am able to push my focus into this little body, and act as a nin-ken for the kit. The 3 tails are not a measure of strength as they would be in my true form, but rather a marker that I am not a standard pet. I have no more chakra or jutsu than a nin-ken. I can be summoned and banished but only by my choice, or his. One of her tails pointed at the boy sleeping. Putting her head on the other 2 tails, she looked up at the Gama-sanin. Where did you hear about Kitsune law? But the Kitsune saw. Stop, thief, give me back my ramen. A narrowly known fact of the Hyuga clan. The branch house were originally artisans, healers, and scholars. The Maen house were warriors. The seal was to protect those valuable orbs from being stolen. There is a flaw in the seal that became known to the Maen house, that allowed them true power over their cousins. This is how the seal became a tool of enslavement. But this pales in the face of the fact that 3 people were about to push the houses to the brink of a high cliff. The clan would fall to its death, or soar to new heights. Hyuga Hiyashi had removed his robes. He was wearing his chunin attire as he was not looking to be recognized. He had 4 kunai pouches strapped to his legs, 2 each thigh. He had over 60 standard shuriken about his body. 4 giant shuriken were slung along his back, over the 3 and 3 of the Fuma shuriken that were poking over his shoulders. Hiyashi was not just readying to hunt the greatest prey possible. He was readying to hunt the beast that assaulted his daughter. The hospital was holy ground. As soon as that demon, not as in Biju, But the guy who is going to be screwing his daughter emerged. Game on. Hyuga Hanma, an elder from the main house, had inherited his seat from his father who inherited from his onl then Hiyashi. He was poised to take the seat of head of clan. He just needed to remove the direct line from the main house. His grandfather had a hand in the first Kumo assault on the air. His father had a hand in the death, poisoning, of Hitomi and attempted poisoning of the baby Hanabi. Only Hitomi was stronger than anyone thought, and the poison never touched the unborn Hanabi. His grandfather had died from a heart defect. For his part in the Kumo affair, his father died from ingesting glass. Funny thing, his father prepared his own food in his private quarters, so who feed him the glass? He was moving toward the hospital room where the girls slept. He had just seen the branch woman assigned to watch the heirs leave the hospital. A quick poke to the girl's chest or back and her death kid would lever him into the prefect position. Hyuga Hisami was not running. Non-ninja Hyugas did not run. It was a point of pride for the whole clan. But the branch woman was moving quickly toward a small bakery, a hideaway from when she was a little girl. The baker was a known gossip, second only to Yamanaka-san and her flower shop. And a childhood friend. Besides, they made the best cinnamon buns. Stop, thief! Give me back my ramen. 5 things happened at once. 1. Anko ducked under her bed as the three-tailed vixen dove to the Hyuga girl's bed. 2. The old men dropped to the floor, one knowing what happened to the last ramen thief, and the other had 30+ years of dodging angry mobs of women after peeping on them. 3. The door was kicked in as some Hyuga thrust a palm at the sleeping Hyuga. 4. The blonde Hokage, the 6th to hold the title. Danzo was never approved. He was appointed as a placeholder until Tsunade awoke, rose up from his bed, a glowing blue-white orb swirling in both hands. One orb bolted from the boy's hand, ripping through the chest and heart the unknown Hyuga male. 5. Hinata-chan awoke just in time to see her crush raising from his sheets, in all his glory, just as a fox landed on her. The weight of the fox was enough to tip her back as her nose exploded, causing her to crash to the floor. Anko was quick to grab her and drag her to safety of cover. Now let us take a deep breath and look things over. 1. Naruto always has an Anbu watcher. 2. The Hokage always has a team of 3 Anbu watching his ass. 3. A heavily armed Hiyashi was watching the room where his little girl was with the big bad demon he had his eyes on. 4. Kyubi-chan had come to an understanding with her keeper, the girl was theirs. 5. Nothing gets the chakra flowing like anger except life and death. Hyuga Hanma never had a chance. The door swung open, his palm thrust where the girl was laying just a few seconds ago. A chakra pulse, a spike blade, would sever her heart, but only her heart. The small fox impacted her chest. There was a shower of blood. Then a blue-white orb passed through his chest before he was pinned to the far wall by 2 large shuriken. His head severed a second later by a Fuma shuriken. Hiyashi reacted to the threat to his daughter, the large shuriken moving before the door cleared an inch of the frame. The Fuma was a second behind it. Before Hiyashi could move towards the now shattered window, a blue-white orb rushed towards his head. He dropped the 30 feet to the paving stones below. The orb vaporized the tree that was to his back. He re-engaged his eyes in time to watch his daughter fall off her bed. Due to the weakness of his eyes at seeing through things, he did not see the blood. He did not see the nude Naruto. All he saw were Naruto with his chakra coils active, the Hokage, the Habi Hemi, his daughter, and a high Jonin, almost cage-level ninja on the floor. He jumped for the window, his eyes blazing, 2 Fuma shuriken spinning at his fingertips. Only to be caught by 2 massive white snakes, one biting each of his wrists. A flurry of action, then everything went silent. When the Hokage slowly climbed back to his feet, he saw one of the funniest sights possible. His 3 Anbu were being held off by the Anbu assigned to watch the boy. The sub-commander of the I&T unit was crouched under her bed with the Hyuga heir passed out at her feet, bleeding from her nose. From Anko's left shoulder 2 massive white snakes had erupted from under the skin to catch the ninja that had came in through the window. A naked, pissed Naruto was pinned face first into the far wall, 2 Fuma shurikens holding him to the wall. Jiraiya spoke from his knees, and this is why I travel so much. But seeing as how the Gaki is getting along in his training, I just might stay closer to home. Anko, release Hiashi. Sarutobi commanded. Anbu, stand down. Jiraiya helped Naruto. He pulled his pipe out and started to load it. Hiashi, see to your daughter. Once Naruto is dressed, we are going to talk about your assault on my genin. As the snakes released the Hyuga head and retracted into Anko, she fainted. One of the Anbu, Neko, was at her side checking her over. Sarutobi stepped over to the open window and lit his pipe. A snort, and he turned to look about the room. Naruto was glaring at the stealth-dressed Hyuga father, who was cradling his drooling daughter. Inu had moved to the cupboard and tossed Jiraiya the Gaki's pants. Tora, one of the remaining Anbu, opened the door to inspect the corpse of the dead man in the hall. Crow, the last Anbu, stepped beside the Hokage, catching a glimpse of the damage outside the window. He too just snorted. Naruto, adjusting his pants, turned to look the Hokage in the face. So, Hokage Gigi, now what? The Hokage reclined in his chair in his office. He was stuffing his pipe, yet again. With everything that was going on, he needed a few minutes to sort out his thoughts. Facts as he knew them. Anko was no longer under her master's control, but still had the seal and all that was gifted to her from it. She was now suffering from chakra exhaustion. Other than massive calorie intake and rest, there was nothing wrong with her. Hyuga Hinata was mate-marked and growing stronger. Also suffering chakra exhaustion, she was snacking on her favored food, while chatting quietly with Anko on female ninja affairs. They were quickly joined by Kurenai. Her father was in a position of tricky importance. The girl had declared that she was going to return the favor the Jinchuriki had given her, just as soon as she had the chakra to do so. With her claiming that option, her position as clan heir was in jeopardy, but it would save her from being sealed. She would have the power and protection of the Jinchuriki, and she would bring that power to the clan. If the clan objected, they would pay very bloody price. Then there was the Jinchuriki himself. The Gaki was feeling a little drained, but once everything was straightened out, he grabbed the toad sage and shunshined off to ramen, yelling to Hokage Gigi that he would be back in a couple of hours, but there was some toad sage secrets he needed to talk to his master about. He turned to look out the window, he gazed sweeping over the village, spotting the various hot spots about town. Sticking his pipe in his teeth, he flipped through the hand signs to summon a messenger-class monkey. With a small pop and a light foggy cloud, the same monkey that brought Jiraiya to him was perched on the desk. Now what, old man? There was no disrespect in the monkey's tone, just the fact that monkeys had their preferred summoners, and the Hokage was chosen by the boss. But the boss was not a message runner. I need my student, Senju Tsunade. He removed the pipe from his teeth. Now she is going to be a bit harder to find. She is going to be even harder to bring back. She likes to gamble and drink, but does not like to win. How you get her here is up to you, but you get her in a week and I will owe you a favor. The little monkey popped away. Naruto sat on his stool, slurping down his noodles. The old man sat there, watched the boy down bowl after bowl. How many of those are you going to inhale? I think my record is Naruto set the bowl down, but one have been known to down 20 in under 5 minutes. My mother held steady at 25 in 10 minutes. The noodle vendor raised an eyebrow. 20 in 5 minutes? That gives me an idea? You said something about sage matters. What is this about toads and your master? Jiraiya sipped from his sake bottle. Yeah, that. I know a few things. The young blonde turned to look at his master. Things I should not know at this time. I know you trained the fourth. I know that he was my father. He gave his life, his soul to bind the Kyuubi into me. You were named my godfather, but you had to run your spy network. You used those trashy books of yours as a source code and cover for your network. I forgive you for not being here for my first 12 years. You were there when I needed you. You were there to correct the damage Tememaru did to my seal, and you gave me to the toads. Naruto poked at the half-empty bowl of noodles and broth in front of him. You taught me my father's Rasengan. He brought up his hands and a blue ball bloomed between his palms. Then you had to go and die at the hands of your student. Pain walked 6 paths, but none of them were in the light. The boy looked at the sage. I progressed further in my sage training than you did, but you are still my master, my sensei. His eyes sparkled, the one, the only, the super pervert Ero Sanin, Jiraiya. The old man sat back, frowned, down his sake. Finish up. We got some things to take care of. He turned and walked towards the main gate. Naruto downed the bowl on the counter, slapped the tickets for the meal beside the bowl, and trotted after the sage. The three kunoichi sat in the bakery. The younger two were telling the older kunoichi about their last few days. Unnoticed by the adults, a tree-tailed kitsune was curled up in the girl's lap. The girl was feeding her tidbits. Sipping her tea, the full Jonin flickered her red eyes over the two before her. Let me get this straight. First he kidnaps Hinata-chan, after they both receive their Hades 8, and runs off to the Hokage's office. His actions draw the ire of her father, who in a burst of anger demands the Gaki beaten and beheaded. But due to a cryptic proposition, they end up engaged. The two younger ninjas smile, as their mouths are full of the goodie of their choice. The Gaki invites all but Anko into his mindscape, to meet. Hinata-chan swallows her bite. The Biju. Yes. Her fingers finding the ears of the fox in her lap. He showed me the center of his power, and offered me the option of controlling him, of limiting his power should he ever lose control. Then she blushed, then she bit me. All I know is that 1 minute everybody is entranced, then the Gaki snaps upright, drops his fangs, forms a red ball of chakra and bites her on the back of the neck. The empty dango stick was held like a kunai. I moved to stop him and he spit something at me. Before I know what is going on, I am face down over the Hokage's desk, as the demon tells me, this is going to hurt, but if he knows me, I am going to enjoy it. Only Teme-sensei is going to feel greater pain. I felt no pain at the time, but he destroyed the curse in my seal, and left me with a powerful gift. So, now what? The Genjutsu mistress leaned forward on her elbows. Hinata-chan is assigned to my tracker hunter squad, but where is the Gaki going? Word has it that he is going to Kakashi's team. A scruffy Asuma dropped into the seat across from Anko, dropping a double order of dango in front of her. A pair of sweet buns were set in front of the genin. I got this generation of the Ino Sha-cho trio, and you got the Aburame and Inazuka. Guy still has his squad. The rest are all civilian-born, as they are being sent to Jonin who are paying minor B-rank bribes to get the rabble to send back to the academy. How do you know all this? Anko drawled, selecting a skewer from the plate in front of her. Why are you telling us? How? Easy, Dad had me do the paperwork, and the bribes are making their way to the village coffers. Why? Who are you going to tell? He grinned around to the unlit cigarette in his lips. Besides, if what I hear on the rumor vine is true, this little Manx has enraptured our Uzumaki, but if they are to be on the same team, would cause the poor boy to overlook what is in front of him. Hinata-chan blushed as the vixen in her lap gurgled its laughter. Anko frowned, but said nothing. Kurenai on the other hand was not as reserved. Hinata-chan, what is that in your lap? Kyubi-chan sat up and looked the red-eyed Jonin in the eye. Me? Nothing of importance. Just a traveler keeping the kit's mate safe and enjoying these yummy tidbits. A fox. The woman spoke quietly. You are cuddling a fox in your lap, and it refers to you as the kit's mate? Hinata-chan blushed again. Yes, that is true. And just where is our so-called demon child? Anko asked. The fox closed its eyes. Ah, I see. He outside the gates, preparing to sign the toad contract. The blue eyes looked up at Hinata-chan. Want to go see how our boy does? Hinata-chan giggled, and collecting the fox into her arms, stood up. Coming? The kunoichi joined her but the Sarutobi just shook his head. As the females walked off, he looked at the table, and noticed that all the food was gone. 10 minutes walk from the gates, Jiraiya eased his old bones onto a rock as the boy stretched his arms. 1 minute, Ero-sanin. I want to try something. Flipping quickly through the hand signs, Naruto slapped the ground and called out, summoning jutsu. For a minute the clearing was filled with the fog, smoke of the summoning jutsu. As it cleared it showed 2 toads in matching blue vests. One was red, the other orange. It also showed a small 3-tailed fox, that matched Naruto's hair color. Gamatotsu and Gamakichi. Naruto bunny hopped in joy, before stopping to pat himself down as he looked for something in his pockets. Sorry Gamatotsu, I have no snacks today. When I do get some, I will summon you and we can find out what you prefer. The blonde's eyes sparkled. Unless you want to wait around until I finish my business here and we can go see what is available today. The two toads shared a look, before shrugging and hoping to the side, landing beside the toad sage. Naruto turned to the fox. My apologizes. I was just getting some old business out of the way. May I have your name and all that? I am Uzumaki Naruto, Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko. Uzumaki? We were told your clan had been wiped out. The tails on the blonde fox swayed in confusion. Damn close. Naruto sat cross-legged before the kit, as far as I know, I am the only one who uses that name at this time. My mother gave her life to halt the rampage of the enthralled Biju so my father could seal it into me. He rubbed his stomach. Her village was all but wiped out, at the beginning of the last Great War. One of my goals is to rebuild my clan. Good to hear. The Kitsune contract has long been a clan contract. The kid sat, tucking his tails around him. I have signed the Toad contract once already, but I would like to sign yours as well. Naruto spoke in a bubbly tone. The kid glared at Naruto, before biting his hand and reverse summoning out. Looking at the old man, what was that about? But it was a female voice that answered him. Most summons do not share summoners. The few times it happens is when two bloodlines linked to contracts cross. The guys, two humans and two toads, turned to see Anko walking out of the shadows. She was quickly followed by Hinata-chan and Kurenai. Looking at the old man, Naruto squinted. What was that about? But it was a female voice that answered him. Most summons do not share summoners. The few times it happens is when two bloodlines linked to contracts cross. The guys, two humans and two toads, turned to see Anko walking out of the shadows. She was quickly followed by Hinata-chan and Kurenai. Smiling at the blushing Hinata-chan, Naruto sees a small bundle tucked into her robes. His awakened nose scents the creamy sticky bun. She is his pockets. He saunters over to the flushed girl. Hey there, beautiful. He sniffed under her ear as he stepped about her. I noticed you having a few sweet bits tucked into your robes. Would it be possible to? He licked her bite mark, causing her to shiver, to talk you out of them? He nuzzled her under the ear. He pulled the bundle out as she fainted. He caught her as she collapsed. That was low, Gaki. Anko hissed. You noticed I avoided your dango. Naruto responded. I also ignored your treatment of Haruka-sensei. Anko frowned, but allowed the boy to settle the heiress into his lap, as he opened the bundle with one hand and offered it to the orange toad. The little guy licked the pile of bits of bun. Not bad, prefer rice crackers, but these are sweet, gooey, and warming to the tongue. Just then everybody was enclosed in a smoke cloud. As the smoke cleared, they were treated to a sight. The three-tailed yellow fox was there. But behind him was a pony-sized five-tailed white fox with blue tips. I seek the Uzumaki. Here? Naruto waved his hand at the fox. Forgive me, but dropping the female who has chosen us is frowned upon. The Kyuubi raised her head and tails as she rose from the girl's arms. Kito, how goes life? Kurama-sama. The huge fox trotted over and sniffed the small reddish-orange fox. How is it that you are a three-tail? Only in this physical form. My true form is still bound by the Uzumaki. He holds me safe from the greater of the threats against me. I am both protected and imprisoned. So, he is a protector of the clans. He is also of the blood. Kimimaru said something about him holding another contract. The five tails swished in annoyance. The toads, the bloodline of his father, almost make it a clan contract. The Kyuubi in kid form snapped her tails. These two here are his personal summons. A tail flicked at the two toads sitting on the log behind the boy. Did Kaiden send you? No, Kaiden is enjoying your absence, and keeping your throne warm. He has kept his fighting trim, but more to flaunt it before the other males and to entice any willing females. Those that might be willing, are too young to catch his eye, and those who he finds pleasing find him too big for his tails. He is only a 7, but acts like an 8.5. What are you talking about? Naruto asked. The white kitsune snorted. Only a female can be the 9 tails, to balance power that comes from the lower levels, and to channel it for the good of the clan. She swished her tails as she sat. Males are the blades of the clan, guided by the hands of their females. Looking at the girl in his lap, What is wrong with her? When I get too close or too intense in my actions toward her, she overloads and faints. He smiled as he ran his fingers through her hair. She is getting better, but she still has a ways to go. He turned her head and pulled away the collar of her robes. As you can see, bears our mark. We are just waiting until she has the strength to return it. You already claimed her as your mate? I would think you would know that it is the female who chooses. The five whites' tails twitched. You are an Uzumaki, are you not? Untrained. Kurama spat. His mother died the day I was ripped from her and sealed into him. She held me while her mate called up Shimigami himself to bind me into the boy. They kissed him on his bald head, whispered that they loved him, and faded into death. She turned her sad, and now blue eyes on her host. That you came, I am glad, for he needs to be taught the history of Uzumaki. She turned back. He will sign our contract, as will she. Kimimaru here will serve as his personal summon. You will find a fitting female for her. And what about the toads? Jiraiya asked. I am told the boy is a sage of the toads. The five-tail raised an eyebrow. Really? Naruto closed his eyes and stilled his form. 3 minutes later he opened his eyes. The pupils had become toad-like, as he sockets of. His eyes had turned orange and his nose was slightly bulbous. Bringing his hands together he formed a blue-white ball between his palms, that he threw at a tree, and the tree behind it. Not that big of a, the sound of several trees falling reached their ears. Okay, I will tell the elders. And Kaiten. I will have the contract in her prime here tomorrow. A twitch of her tails and the white fox was gone. The blonde kitsune walked over to the two cuddling kids. My name is Kimimaru, in case you missed it. Sitting, his three tails yucked tight about his legs, he began licking a paw. When do we eat? Yeah, boss? The orange toad jumped to the nearest shoulder. The red toad sighed. Gamatotsu, I swear your appetite is bigger than Pop's. Besides, there is the issue, you two have some blood signing to do. Jiraiya stood, stepped forward and flashing through the hand signs, slapped the ground. A toad that came to Naruto's knee appeared holding a scroll in its mouth. Kimimaru chuckled. Baka, as a sign of our overlord's binding, we personal summons never leave our summoner. Only the so-called death of the summon will banish us. What do you mean, so-called death? The red toad asked. The blonde fox cocked his head to look at the red toad. It takes a direct chakra strike to kill us. A kunai to my chest just sends me home, wounded until I heal and my summoner calls me to his side. The red toad nodded. I already feel a bond to Naruto-kun, and as he summoned both me and my brother, we are just waiting for him to sign the contract, to make it official. I look forward to working with you both. Jiraiya unrolled the large scroll and Naruto eased out from under Hinata-chan, and knelt before the scroll and bit his thumb. In a shadow of that day months from now, he signed in blood and slapped his palm on the page next to his father's name. Now it is official. He crossed the clearing, closed his eyes and breathed deeply. Kachiyose no Jutsu, summoning jutsu. The cloud of engulfed the whole clearing. Jiraiya. Hey boss toad. Naruto hopped over to the toad's eye. The great large toad crossed his eyes to see the small summoner. Hey Pop. The small orange toad waved from his perch on the boy's shoulder. Gamatotsu. Who is the Gaki? This is Uzumaki Naruto. He just signed the contract. Me and Gamakichi are his personal summons from the toads. The pride in the toad's voice warmed the soul of the boy. He is also going to sign with the foxes. What? The toad roared. Why is he disrespecting our clan like this? Naruto closed his eyes and gathered just enough nature chakra to morph into sage mode. The boss summon's eyes widened. My father was Namikaze Minato. He opened the possibility of my bloodline. He signed your contract, after Jiraiya-san offered him the option. When Jiraiya offered me the contract in a little over a year's time, I jumped to sign. First time I summoned you, the pervert threw me of the ledge of a crevasse. We battled for the whole day, you trying to throw me hanging on. The sun set just as I collapsed from chakra exhaustion. A few years later, I was taken to the mountain by Paw and trained to become the next toad sage. Naruto leaned forward to peer into the toad's eye. I went further than pervy sage did, and I expect Paw and Ma to come calling to take me on a refresher course. Until they do, I must learn all I can to grow stronger. Your clan is one of the best ways to get stronger. These little guys are my two best friends, and the three of us, when we are working as one, can take out Madara in a few years. And the other contract? The Toad boss grumbled. A gift from my mother, from the Uzumaki bloodline. A true Uzumaki? The boss seemed impressed. Then we will grow stronger together. The boss then unsummoned himself, dropping the boy and his son from the height of a 4-story roof. Naruto tumbled to right himself and landed lightly in a 3-point stance. The orange toad never moved. Impressive. The small red toad croaked from the log beside Jiraiya. Do you expect us to sit around all day? Or are you just going to? Tsunade frowned. Which would you prefer? If everybody sees you, they might think you are just pets. You two are welcome to summon yourselves to me as you wish, and to return home when I have no need of you, as you will. I will even supply snacks, not meals during our time together, when I can. The red toad frowned. Come Tatsu, we are going to talk to the elders. We have many things to talk about our summoner. Both toads popped like balloons poked with a pin. Naruto-kun snorted as he squatted to pick up Hinata-chan. Once the girl was in his arms, he turned to the two women. Any questions? A grunt of effort to stand, not because the girl was heavy, but because he was only 12, ask now, because I can only answer until we get to the gates. He began to lead the way home. Anko trotted quickly to his side. How did you fix my seal? Who taught you? How can I improve my regeneration time? Her questions coming faster and faster. Breaking her rhythm, Naruto gave a shout of laughter. I used a perverted, purifying seal on you. It ate the curse from your seal, destroying the tinted chakra that the bound seal held away from your core network. As to who taught me, Pervy Sage taught me the basics. Then I found my mother's journals and her private stash of sealing scrolls. I had just learned of my father's when I was captured by the Dawn. As to your growth, that is up to you. We have 6 months, the three of us, until the Chunin exams. The snake must rise from the sound. Your beloved master plans to mark the Uchiha during that time. If we are strong enough, we can kill or cripple him. The three of us also need to be in place to protect Hokage Gigi from Orochi Teme. We have 2 chances during your shift, in the Forest of Death, and during the finials. Best chance is during the second, as I will be bringing down the one-tailed beast in the finals. How certain are you? I am willing to bet a week of my ramen against a week of your dango. Anko whistled. She knew of the boy's appetite for the salty brine and noodles. No bet. 6 dice rattled in the cup, before being slammed on the table. 3 other cups slammed down around the table. The 3 red-eyed gamblers glared at one another before turning their blood-soaked eyes on the blonde woman. Her assistant tossed a rolled bundle of tags onto the table. Debtor's folly. 6 dice to a player. Loser takes the debt of the others. As when they peeked under their cups. The blonde woman sipped from her bottle of sake. 5 threes, 6 fours, from her left. 4 fives, 6 sixes, 8 sixes. Senju Tsunade leaned back. The men leaned back. They knew her legacy, they knew the legend, they knew her history. The man to the left licked his dry cracked lips. The call was to him. He had to either call her out, or raise the bid. CC call. He stuttered, pulling his cup aside, showing 4 twos, A3, and A5. The bum across from her showed 5 fives and A3. The player to her right showed 2 sixes, 3 twos, and A4. She emptied her bottle in one long pull, before tossing it over her shoulder and knocking her cup aside. 6 sixes sat clustered together. The man on her left swallowed. How? You bid too high, too fast. Had one of you drawn it out longer, I would have had to bid 9 sixes. A small monkey puffed into position in the middle of the table, looking the blonde woman in the eye. Senju Tsunade, you are recalled to the village. It tossed her a scroll. One is to offer you and your entourage a reverse summoning. The monkey cocked his to the side. Unless you wish for the fate of your last loved ones to be resolved too soon. The blonde Sannin licked her lips as she looked at the dice before her. Shizune, we are going now. Hiyashi was kneeling in his private meditation chamber. As private as anywhere in the Hyuga compound ever got. He had received word that his daughter had stepped out of the east gates. She was seen in the company of her sensei, and the sub-comnator of the Anbu. He closed his eyes, breathed in deep. If he focused, he could see them now. And there was trouble if he was any judge, he sighed. That boy is going to turn my hair gray. Naruto was carrying Hinataheim bridal style, the three-tailed red fox in her lap. Anko was walking at his side, chattering away, as a blonde fox was at his heels. Behind them were Yuhie Karinia and Jiraiya of the Sannin. So, Anko slithered closer. Before you whammied my hickey, you said something about Iruka. What is up with Karinia? Anko wiggled her eyebrows at the boy. She gets some. Are you asking for snippets of the future? Naruto asked, his foxy grin in play. Or are you just being a naughty girl? Option 2, I think. I will tell you what I know, but I need a favor. Send a squad of loyal masks after Mizuki-sensei. As soon as he heals from our last meeting, he is going to try to steal the forbidden seal scroll. He grinned. I will even throw in the syrup trap jutsu. It classed as a water jutsu, but any good prankster should have a syrup trap jutsu. Deal, but only if you promise to leave the syrup traps out of your pranking. Anko grinned at the Gaki. Okay, I see your point, and while in the village anything goes, Anbu HQ is prank-free turf, after my next birthday. What do you mean, after? Anko had stepped away from the little monster. A few things I had set up to go off on my next birthday. He shook his head. You do not want to face the village or me on that day. This time, I know enough that there is going to be trouble when they come in knocking. So, if we find and remove the traps, I will not rearm them, replace them, or restore them. Unless asked to by you or Scarface. His grin changed. They were just now arriving at the gates. I am going to need more. A trade, jutsu for information, Anko asked. I can offer a few tidbits here and there. Naruto ducked his head to sniff the dark head of hair in his arms. My new blood limit has options. Your answers will reflect on your questions, a jutsu piece. Anko nodded. I would make you shake but your hands are full. Her grin spiked. Later, she jogged off into the ninja deeps of the village. A trio of Hyuga stepped out of the shade, moving to take their clansman from the demon. The red fox in her lap growled at them, and because the red growled, so did both blondes. The two Chunin just sighed and reached for the buzzer to call for help, if things were to explode. You will turn the girl over to us, now, clan business. Ah, good. Hiyashi-sama has signed the Mirage contract. Naruto gave them his cheeky grin. Just hand it to the Gama-sanin, and we can go our separate ways to get ready for the ceremony tonight. What contract? The center male asked. He was frowning as his two companions engaged their eyes, readying for combat. So his lordship has not signed the contract. Naruto frowned. That means you are going to try to seal her. His grin turned cold. Not going to happen. Hiyashi was warned what would happen. Do not force me to leave you as examples of what happens when you break a contract with Clan Uzumaki. There is no clan by that name. The one on the left spat. Naruto went still. Naruto went Kate. He even stopped breathing. The red fox dropped to the ground, trotted over to the desk and hopped up. Looking at the young blonde fox, you want to be up here. Less chance of the cowards stepping on you as they run screaming, pissing themselves. The blonde fox joined her. What was that? The Gaki is embracing his sage mode. The red fox flashed her tails as she settled herself on the desk. While he only has the toad's sage teachings at this time, the chakra is impressive. Hearing this, Jiraiya collected the still sleeping girl from the boy, as the boy's eyelids darkened to orange, and his nose grew bulbous. Shit, oh shit. Oh shit. The old fat man cleared the bench-like desk the girl cradled in his arms. The Jonin instructor quickly joined him. The two Chunin were busy pounding the buzzer button. Naruto breathed in deep, as the basics of the sage mode flooded his system. He heard the barm, the pounding of feet, of soldiers running to the gate. Before he even opened his eyes, he saw the 20 squads of 3 Anbu land on the roofs about the gate area. When his opened, the orange lid gave way to a yellow iris with a cross pupil. He grinned. Am I facing 3 on clan business, or 63 on village business? His voice ringing. A swirl of dust and leaves reviled Ibiki. Clan business. He looked between the trio, who still only had 2 with their eyes active, to Naruto Sage. A break in the man's voice as the non-active Hyuga looked at the newcomer. Boy had the air in his arms. I asked for her back, he goes all demon on us. Ibiki snorts, this is not demon. Then he looks closer at the boy, but is something new. A gift, from my godfather. Naruto thumbed at the sage hiding behind the desk, the contract I signed with the toads. The white-haired man waved from the relative safety of the desk, cubby, shelter. And you say, Clan Busimus, the scars pulled tight as he frowned. The blonde nodded, though his face held no grin. The scarred man looked about, and saw the Jonin instructor in the gate booth as well, Yuhei. Well sir, the young woman stood, Uzumaki is just defending his bride from her clan. As I understand it, other than a ceremony to bring the two clans together, and her biting him, they are already married. And the girl's father is right here. Hiyashi stepped forward. It seems that the elders of the clan have moved, yet again, without my orders. He frowned at the sight before him. Prove to me, Uzumaki, that you can protect my daughter. He melted out of the way. Ibiki frowned, then shrugged, keep the damage down, before a swirl of leaves engulfed him. No promises, Naruto growled as the wind picked up. Tell me boys, can you see me now? The entire area was filled with jutsu smoke. Then the trio started screaming. Sounds of fists and feet hitting soft flesh allowed new screams to bloom. It was over in under a minute. The smoke was drifting away, as the sun burned down. They will live, but only so they can tell their side of the story. Everyone turned to look at the blonde as he squatted on the rain barrel across from the desk. His eyes were still shaded, but his nose was no longer bulbous. Hiyashi looked down at his clansmen groaning lightly in the dirt, soft tissue damage only. He looked up at the boy, his eyes bulging, before yelping and blinking to clear his eyes. Naruto grinned his baka grin. Sorry, Pops, but the air is still heavily charged. He hopped down. As he strutted forward he placed his fists on his hips. Until I get my contract, I am not leaving my bride where your clan can do something stupid. I was thinking, for the time being, of keeping her at her Jonin instructor's place. The woman is quite skilled. Anyone trying to take our Heim from her will need to use high deal of resources, proving who is against our. Though you were mentally damaged, the clan head trailed off. All part of the show. Only Arheim and the Anbu were shown the clues of my true ability. Naruto grew a cheeky smile. Sir, my birthday this year. If I were to offer a true prank-free zone. You will of course be spending the whole day in the compound? Ibiki was at the Hyuga's shoulder. Day, yes. But I will be taking my bride-to-be to the festival that evening. The canines flashed in the sun. Talk to Anko. She was talking to me about Anbu HQ. Ibiki glared at the boy. Okay. The Hokage said you were to report to class in the morning for genin assignments. I have been briefed on your options. I will see the girl to her Jonin instructor's place. She will have the basic protections you enjoy, if only to protect the village from you trying to reclaim her. A nod to the Hyuga head, he turned to the Sannin. The Hokage wanted to see you, sir. Something about the boy's teachings. The Anbu commander turned on his heel and strode away. A trio of random Anbu dropped down and stepped forward. The female, Tora, took the sleeping girl from the Sannin. Sannin-san, go. We have the girl. Jonin-sensei, we are going. The five of them left at a trot, 4 to the market district, 1 over the rooftops towards the tower. Hiyashi just shook his head as he stepped over the groaning bodies of his clansmen. And this is just the tip of the iceberg? Yeah, Naruto scratched the back of his head. You know that story I was telling Hokage Gigi about? I was ready to release Fluffy-chan. Just because the guy attacking the village hurt her. I had reached 8 of 9 tails, and had driven the guy from the village ruins. I was allowing the seal to decay. Ready to let her out to burn away those who threatened my Heim. Just after my Heim confessed her feelings for me, to me. Everyone but me noticed that she was emotional for me. But no one had let me in on it. From that moment, I have been meaning to get back to her, to return her feelings. But then, the blonde collapsed inward. A deep breath. But with my new blood limit, he straightened, new life breathed into him. Now I am sent back to just as we finish the academy. I am able to protect her for the harm the clan inflicts on her, from the idea that just because she won't fight her little sister, that she is willing to allow her sister to nearly cripple her, rather than strike the child. Naruto glared up the head of clan. With her marriage to you, she loses the heir posthum. She was going to be wed to a branch male, Or that was the idea when she was named heir. The Hyuga crossed his arms. Now that posture falls to her sister, unless she too marries outside the clan. That would make for a funny tree, loops instead of branches. Naruto grinned. Good thing bonsai are a culture thing. Hiyashi glared at the boy, before turning and walking away. The two Chunin tapped another button, before stepping out from behind the desk. As they inspected the battlefield, they muttered. Back and forth. Naruto turned to look at them. The one who was looking over Rain Barrel hissed and waved over the other over. Remember when the smoke cleared? Yeah, he was squatting on the Rain Barrel lid. The first guy grinned. Look again. There is no lid for that barrel. That means, the bandaged guy frowned. Water walking? From an academy cadet? From a green genin? His partner grinned. We are talking about him. A thumb in Naruto's direction. Yeah, he has gaps in his training. But you can bet he knows more than his stupid grin lets on. He tapped the side of his nose. Less than a week ago he added catnip to the Inuzuka dog shampoo. He put a chocolate laxative in the Ankichi ice cream. Then outran everybody not caught in that mess. He made sure that Iruka was hogtied in a closet, before it even hit the fan. Naruto chuckled, as he pulled the red fox into his arms. The blonde fox jumped to his shoulders, curling about the boy's head, blending into his hair. Turning to the Chunin guards as 6 other Chunin landed. Well you guys, he grinned his baka smile. No doubt you will be talking to others about this afternoon's entertainment. The smile grew cold. Pass on the warning. Uzumaki has a birthday coming up. On that day, the village is fair game. As he called on the Shunshin. The 8 of the Chunin exchanged looks, then as one, Boatter patrol. Sarutobi packed his pipe as he looked out over the village. He raised an eyebrow as the toad Sannin landed on the windowsill. A snap of his fingers. His thumb popped a flame, which he used to light his pipe. Sipping heavily, he blew the cloud, rudely, into his student's face. The toad sage twisted his face at the strong smell of the leaf smoke. Not your usual blend. He squinted at the old man reclining in his big chair. I see that paperwork is winning at the moment, but you are not stressing. The old man grinned around his pipe and drew heavily and blew another cloud into the sage's face. It was then that the toad sage recognized the smell of the leaf. Memory leaf, 20-year-old, as his eyes began to glaze over, you ass. Tun Tun snorted, grunted, and then tipped OV out, her tail corkscrewed. Never could hold her drink, the blonde slurred. Naruto exited his Shunshin between the ramen bar and the barbecue place. Okay. Light of my heart, meat or ramen? Naruto scratched the Kyuubi behind the ear. Meat, she hissed. What is this ramen? The blonde fox asked. A vile and bitter brewing. Noodles and mixed toppings served in a salty brine. The Gaki and his mother lived on the stuff, and so I can taste it in my dreams. You can live on it, but nobody. Other than the Gaki can prosper on it. Only resin he can as he eats over 12 bowls per seating. The red fox perked up. Meat tonight. And you can stuff ramen down your throats tomorrow. Meat it is. Naruto cheered, as he turned to the barbecue place. As he stepped into the door, Councilwoman Hinaru started to bring her voice to bear. When she spotted the demon brat, her voice grew in power and volume. The foxes hid their head and ears in Naruto's jacket. When the pitch of her voice reached a certain level, an ANBU, one that was following Naruto. Village security hit a nerve cluster on the woman's neck. And to believe, she pushed that law through the council vote. The guard chuckled. 2 random Chunin were drafted to carry the now sleeping woman to Anbu cells. Naruto chuckled. She broke the Hokage's law about me and my fluffy little problem. He grinned. Tell Ibiki to hold her 48 hours. Politics can be a fun game, if we bring the game to the next level. Inu looked at the boy in shock. Why should I tell Ibiki anything? Killing her, or anyone who lets slip about Fluffy-chan, will quickly earn me more enemies. Naruto dropped his smile. I believe more can be gained from allowing them to buy their first pass. The councilwoman is a sharp thorn in Hokage Gigi's foot. We can even walk her to the gallows before we cut her loose. Inu glared at the boy from his one eye. Who are you? His hands dropped by his side. Please, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto turned to the host who was watching the boy, with a thinly veiled look of horror. A table for 2, food for 3, and whatever Inu-san here wants. Not meaning any insult of infraction, but when she called you, the host gulped. The truth? The blonde boy looked the man in the eye. She was partly correct. I keep that dreaded beast at bay. The fourth used me to keep the beast from destroying the village. With the dumber civilians trying to kill me, it can be released back into the village. The beast keeps me alive, but I have now reached a point. Attacks on me will be returned. Loyal members of the village have nothing to fear me or mine. The boy's eyes turned cold and hard. We will give our life for anyone loyal to the leaf. That is my Nindo. Believe it? Then he flinched. Both foxes chuckled, having drawn their heads from under his jacket. Inu just shook his head. Looking at the host, seat the boy, feed his ken. Send the bill to the Hokage. The red lady is the one you want to spoil. A thumb jerked at the red fox in the boy's arms. Her favor will equal that of 3 clan heirs, combined. If properly spoiled, she will make sure this place is the last to fall when the village burns. The Anbu vanished as a swirl of leaves. Ken? The host asked. The red fox pulled her tails from under Naruto's jacket. That would be me. The host gasped, then his training kicked in, and the blonde was seated in a private booth. Better to feed and pamper the Kisun Ken, and to keep them out of sight of the more intolerant guests. 4 shadows approached a nice middle-class apartment complex. They knew that they were being watched by Ibiki and a second squad, but were comfortable as Kunoichi in the village. Kurenai led the way to the second floor and unlocked the door. The 3 Anbu followed her inside, all 3 female. Once the door closed and the girl in their arms was placed on the couch, the 3 Anbu removed their masks. A round of hugs, and Kurinia brought out a few bottles of sake. Hey, Azuki Yugo, the red-eyed Jonin sensei passed around the bottles. Girls. All 4 were classmates from the academy. They tried to meet every month or so, as their duties allowed. Is Anko joining us? Yugo asked as she curled up across from the sleeping Hinata. Sliding under the Hyuga's head, so that it rested in her lap, the newly appointed Jonin sensei shook her head. No, I think she is doing a security check of all Anbu buildings. Uzumaki let slip that he had set up a few gifts set to announce themselves on his birthday. She sipped from her bottle. I heard him say something to Hyuga-sama. A slender girl of IWA descent waved her still-sealed bottle. Something about prank-free zones? Headquarters, in the Hyuga compound. Kurinia smiled down at the girl in her lap. Everywhere else in the village is fair game. Ibiki returned to the Hokage tower, to see Nara staring at a small pile of paperwork. What? No clouds to watch? The scared veteran snarled. Just got over a dozen requests from mixed teams and singles to be assigned Borader patrol during the week of the 10th. The sleepy Nara looked at the only person who scared him more than his wife. Any idea why? The Uzumaki has declared opening season on the village that day. The news brought the El Zest man in the villager to his feet, so, the only safe places are. The scared man grinned. Up for bid, I think we have 15 team slots and 20 single. So, I am thinking 50 Ryu for each single slot, and 100 for a team. And what about us? Hissed the now scared Nara, panic beginning to set in. We will be in the Anbu HQ, going over last-minute security for the festival. Bless the log for paperwork. The Nara breathed. Elsewhere. Cages shivered. The dreaded enemy just got stronger. The end. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.